Okay, let's see if I can make this work. Before I jump in, just to refresh, I spent 39 years with the Dow Chemical Company in multiple roles, both on the OT as well as the IT, as well as the customer role. For the first 22 years of my Dow career, I was a manufacturing guy down on the floor, using these various systems to manufacture products. And my objective was not the effectiveness or efficiency of IT, it was making pounds. I was the customer. In 1995, in an assignment in the Silicon Valley, I got religion. It must have been Microsoft. Windows 95 came out then. But I got the IT bug, and so starting from the OT side of the shop, started working directly in process automation, and as my career evolved, also involved in on the IT side. And specifically, as Carrie mentioned, since 1995, the Dow Chemical Company has changed from what was an organically grown company to a company that grows by mergers and acquisitions with many different acquisitions and divestitures, none the least being Roman Haas, as Carrie mentioned, as well as Union Carbide and several other smaller companies. So with the advent of a change of business model, the challenges of IT and OT, because of diverse systems being acquired, became a real burden for the company and specifically for manufacturing. So in the last 15 years, I was involved primarily as an integration specialist in the manufacturing IT realm to try to pull these things together and make it work effectively. And obviously, I saw various different impediments that stopped us from being a high-performance organization, and one of those was, and continues to be a challenge, as Carrie said, is the organizational design, and specifically around IT and OT integration. So I did my own private research after retiring, and part of the private research resulted in the workshop some of you may have attended last year at ARC. And the research is based on fundamental principles primarily developed by the University of Southern California, where organizational design expertise center exists. So this is not something that is cooked up. Many different industries, not just the IT/OT world, face the same organizational design problems and solicit help from Southern Cal. Several publications are available out there, and much of the work that was involved in the workshop comes from that origin. So we're bridging from known successful transformational designs and applying that to the IT/OT world. So with that introduction, what is the mission of a successful IT organizational design? You heard some of the attributes Carrie mentioned as success criteria. It's managing people. An organization is people. It's about people, folks. It's not about boxes. It's not about things. It's about managing people and the technology that they create and support to collectively respond in a responsible manner to the manufacturing information and control systems domain. And I emphasize that term, you may not use it frequently, manufacturing IT. We're not an IT organization, we're not an OT organization. We are a manufacturing IT organization with the primary objective of making sure that information and control systems effectively deliver a competitive advantage for our businesses to manufacture goods. We're not there for excellence of technology, we're there to manufacture effectively. So you need to know who the customer is when you start an organizational design. Be very careful about who you are serving. So as time marches on, technology, culture, people support inevitably change. In the Dow example, mergers and acquisitions, a change of business strategy cause the stress which generates the need for organizational change. Now, in any kind of change, especially involving people, it becomes very personal and very difficult. Organizational change with people is one of the more difficult changes to make. I can change out a piece of machinery before I can change out a human being's organizational responsibilities. It's because the change affects the very fiber of the original organization and the reason why it exists and its livelihood. The reason why you exist, imagine, the reason why you exist is being challenged. And why do I have to? Why do I want to go forward in some manner? Well, we'll go into the details of what are the change criteria that initiate the need for organizational change. So, in this presentation, as we go forward, we needed to understand the issues of how to detect when organizational change needs to occur, and then be able to address that with a new structure that is in alignment with the needs of the primary customer. And who is the primary customer? Manufacturing. Manufacturing operations is the client, or manufacturing in general is the client, IT client. Okay, so anybody disagree with me that manufacturing is the client? I'm telling you this. Now, I'm prejudiced because I come from operations, but if we're truly providing an IT/OT service, we need to keep the customer in mind. And knowing that the customer has certain fears about who is doing their work is part of the organizational design investigation.
Is the end customer the real customer?
Who's the real customer?
Isn't the end customer the real customer?
Yes. And so the trickle-down effect fundamentally is if the performance of the manufacturing entity does not deliver against the customer needs, we all fail. The idea of an IT organization is to support manufacturing such that they achieve the customer objectives. So yes, it's a trickle-down effect. But what you control inside of your company is how you design. Okay. The customer product requirements are a starting point from which organizational design is structured. You're going to see more around business alignment, which you could infer as customer alignment as we go through this. And if I don't answer it, ask the question again. So, as I said, the primary directive of an IT or manufacturing IT organization which supports manufacturing is to serve the information technology needs of operations to support the end customer, cash paying customer. A secondary, that may be the primary objective, but there is a secondary and highly important mission of an IT or OT organization. It's to provide reliable information flow to and from the real-time environment where these products are being manufactured to support their allied enterprise stakeholders. Like Carrie mentioned, the finance organization, the sales organization, the R&D organization. We don't exist in a company as individual silos. We must collaborate to support ultimately the delivery of products and goods which generate the revenue for the company. So, support the primary user of that IT technology and provide support laterally to your comrades so that they can help you be successful. So we went through the exercise last year to identify the key activities which are important in meeting that particular mission. So you must identify, implement, operate, maintain, and improve IT/OT tasks collaboratively in order to achieve the mission, determination of which should manage and perform the activities driven by the organization's unique strengths, value system, and culture. Now, I went through that quickly. Determination of who should manage and perform the associated manufacturing IT tasks needs to be driven by the company's unique strengths within its company, its value systems, how they value those unique strengths, and the culture in which they deliver those unique capabilities. The corollary to this is if you do not have the unique strengths or capabilities to deliver against the primary mission, you need to seek partners, external partners, to achieve the objective. So you may, as a company, you may not have all of the necessary skills and capabilities to deliver against the message. And part of your organizational design, as Carrie alluded to, from a project standpoint, will require you to seek out external partnerships. So it's a collaboration of functional capabilities within and outside of your company to come up with an effective organizational design. If somebody is not agree with me, raise your hand. This is an open discussion here, not a lecture. So again, the workshop, we had a workshop, 40 different company representatives. We had, it was over 150 inputs as part of a design for Six Sigma activity. One of the outcomes of that workshop was to define the capabilities. Remember, what are the unique strengths, value systems, and cultures necessary to create an effective organizational design? The first thing we looked at was capabilities. What do I need to support that manufacturing IT objective? What the group came up with through an affinitization process were the capability elements of you need know-how. First of all, to deliver the mission, you have to have a certain amount of know-how or skill. Second of all, you need to have people who have that skill embedded and can deliver it at the point of attack, whether it be a project, whether it be service, whether it be ongoing technology development. You need the people. Third of all, we came up with an attribute of relationship management. As Carrie related, totally functionally aligned organizations have a number of information flow barriers that need to be broken down. So whether you create a matrix organization which has formal teams that go cross-functionally, or you have work processes or methods to have that communication change, you must have relationship management to ensure that collaboration takes place. Without collaboration, the IT/OT organization will fail. Again, as Carrie mentioned, you must have, she used the term work processes or business work processes. I would add the word discipline. Disciplined work processes, the knowledge of how to execute these various tasks consistently, repeatedly, independent of the person executing the task. So the task must be so well defined, the standard procedures must be so well defined that they're not ambiguous. Ambiguity in work processes causes conflict. And so work process continuity and clarity is important. Last but not least, and this one got a lot of votes in the workshop, you must have geographical presence. Now, how an organization can scale to achieve organizational geographical presence can be a challenge. In a company the size of the Dow Chemical Company, in the depth and breadth of the personnel available, they can scale to many geographies across multiple business units. Even at its size, it needed partners to achieve the overall objective when you get projects the size of SAP. But let's say the major project is over and you want to sustain that capability. You need to have geographical presence to sustain and support that manufacturing IT/OT capability that you've deployed. Geographical presence can be internally delivered, it can be externally delivered through partnerships. And that's part of analyzing your unique situation, size, and scalability to address the geography. So the degree of self-determination or internal capability depends on the organization's maturity and value systems, cost effectiveness. Almost $60 billion chemical company can have a lot of money associated with supporting and sustaining that type of complex matrix organization internally. Many of us and many of the clients that I've dealt with through ARC don't have that affordability model. They have to seek out partnerships to achieve the degree of know-how, human resources, relationship management, work processes, and more importantly, geography to achieve the overall objective. But just to summarize, those are the key capabilities you need to have an effective, in place, to have an effective IT/OT organization. Now, the workshop asked its participants, if you're going to structure an IT organization, you need to look at competitiveness, doing work internally versus doing work with partnerships, and finding that right mix to achieve the capabilities above. As Carrie mentioned, it comes down to people at the end of the day. People are what make this happen, and it's the skills and experience and knowledge of the associated work processes that make it sing. And if you cannot attract, retain, and reward skilled people to execute against that mission, it will fail. It's people. Organization is about people and managing people effectively. So, true competitive advantage then for an effective IT organization is one where you differentiate the organization's performance over the alternative. Can I do it internally? Do I need to do it externally, or do I come up with a hybrid organizational structure? It all depends on the unique value proposition that your company has in front of it. So, attracting, rewarding, and retaining IT/OT talent is therefore a key part of any organizational design. Go ahead. Yes. Yes. So geographical presence, I like to use military terminology. Deployed at the point of attack. My customer is in this particular location, but the service person is 12 hours distance away by airplane. If I have a real-time application need, and time is money in the manufacturing world, if I do not deploy my resources at the point of attack, I will not be successful. The customer will be unhappy. So geographical presence to achieve the mission has to be part of the consideration of the organizational design. It can be sourced internally or externally, but you must have people within the near real-time domain accessibility to the problem. Otherwise, you lose the confidence of the customer, and they lose money. Not necessarily. I mean, with technological virtualization, certain services can be provided remotely. However, one of the problems in the IT/OT organizational challenge is, what is the importance of the time domain, the application in a specific time domain? If I have a once-a-second application and an outage in minutes is worth thousands of dollars, I better have a response team available within minutes to that particular location. If I have an application that's transactional in design, a 24-hour horizon, I can afford to put somebody on a plane and send them there within a 12-hour time frame and service the problem, whether it's hardware or software. So, sense of urgency in the real-time domain is one of the challenges that faces, it's one of the conflicts that IT/OT organizations have out there. It's responsiveness in the time of need. It's one of the biggest fears of a manufacturing guy is the plant is not running because a resource that I do not have direct control over is accessible. A successful IT/OT organization supporting a manufacturing organization needs to have time criticality with service level agreements and respective costs of that in place such that you have the correct response at the time of need. Don't underestimate this time value of money factor from an organizational design perspective. Yes?
Maybe you addressed it, I didn't hear it, but do you agree or don't agree that there may be different culture in the IT versus OT world? And if so, how do you handle that issue?
Yes. I alluded to it, but I didn't explain it. Okay. In the previous slide, I mentioned that cultural heritage of the organization plays a part in organizational design. And I'll translate culture to a different word. I'll use the word trust. Fundamentally, when you're dealing in the real-time domain, it's all about trust. And quite honestly, the culture of the traditional IT organization is a less than real-time responsiveness. Now, that doesn't mean that the IT organization cannot respond to that time domain urgency. It becomes an organizational design challenge and a contract for service that the OT recipient feels comfortable with. It's a comfortable level. Now, if you want to say, culture having to do with different geographies, I would tell you that the IT world pretty much transcends classical definition of culture. So I translate the challenge, the cultural challenge, difference between IT and OT is responsiveness to a problem. Does that answer the question?
Probably much more complicated than you have time for, but I guess the issue I hear when I talk to people is that the OT people have a different set of concerns and priorities than often the IT people have. So trust is one aspect of it, but it plays out in many other ways as well.
Okay, you're going to see something later in the slides that will address that. That's a good lead question. One of the answers is common metrics or lack of common metrics, and the workshop did work on benchmarking the performance that is required for a collaboration between the IT and OT worlds. And yes, they sometimes have different scorecards, and they have different responses to the scorecards. But that is not necessarily indicative of saying that it cannot happen. You have to negotiate common metrics and common service level agreements to achieve a synergy of attacking a particular mission, and this is in this case supporting manufacturing. So the measurement should be a collection of both efficiency of a work process, a service that's being delivered, and effectiveness, meaning in this case the timeliness and the quality of delivering that service to the real-time customer domain. So a good organizational design addresses both efficiency of executing the task as well as the quality of delivering or effectiveness of delivering that service. So performance against recognized benchmarks determines where you are today and gives you insight into what could be more competitive tomorrow. I would contend that many of us do not establish benchmarks, and part of the conflict is we're either working against different scorecards or we have no benchmarks of comparison, and therefore we're looking in different directions. We're talking to different masters because we don't have a common metric. So part of organizational design means having agreed upon common metrics of performance. Again, all this comes from the workshop that we did last year. As you would expect, there is not a generic organizational design template that you can just pull off the shelf for manufacturing IT or an effective IT/OT organization. As they say in the Six Sigma world, it depends. It depends on culture, it depends on maturity of the organization, size of the organization, financial ability of the organization, and the unique skills that you have both internally or access to externally. So, again, the company must survey itself and address what we are good at, what we're not good at, what is important to us, what is not important, what are the metrics that determine the level of success, and then go through an exercise of designing the organization using traditional tools that are available from textbooks or institutes like Southern California. Just remember, whoever is the true end user of the solution or service needs to be part of the requirements of the design. And a key part of the design, and getting to one of your questions over here, is who's in charge? I mean, Carrie mentioned one of the challenges that they faced in a organization that went purely functional to at least a three-dimensional matrix organization, at least 3 dimensions. Who's in charge? And somehow addressing the turf battles and who's assigning the roles and who is primarily who's responsible and who is accountable. The key words, who's responsible and who's accountable. Now, somebody asked me, don't they mean the same thing? Does the word responsible mean the same thing as accountable? Responsibility, it means fundamentally this. You have a task, or this team has a task, and they are assigned and responsible for executing the task. They are responsible for executing the task. The person who is accountable has singular accountability for the ultimate performance of that team, reporting upward to management against common metrics of success. You can have cross-functional teams from many different functions, but have clear lines of accountability that are negotiated between an IT/OT organization. It is possible to do that. Now, as Carrie said, is it difficult to manage? It's not easy. Matrix organizations take more work because it's not a command and control structure. Command and control is easier. I'm your boss, go do it. Okay, it's different when you say, I'm a team of cross-functional experts, and each of these experts, they bring their expertise to the table, and they have individual responsibility for the collective output. That team, through a committee or executive organization, then is a single representative is accountable for the team to that higher level structure. More difficult to manage, but more effective in delivering the quality of skills that you need to achieve the overall mission. So this leads us to an ARC chart here. You've heard of maturity curves, okay? If you research the internet, there are several references to organizational maturity or organizational maturity matrices. Organizational maturity matrix applied to different industries. The technology of the technique of organizational design based on organizational maturity is well documented and researched. As it is applied to the IT/OT demand, you will find no references out there on IT/OT maturity. So what we've done is we've taken input so far from the workshop, and we've created a organizational maturity matrix based on the key attributes of people. Blank is people again. There are 2 levels for people: work process, technology, and measurement. My goodness, Carrie, I think you hit all of those. So the collective group last year at the workshop said that fundamentally an effective organization must deal with or manage people, work processes, technology, and measurement. Now, we did an importance voting as part of the workshop in those particular affinitized categories, and the percentages of effort, that apply, the 35, 20%, 30%, 15%, that's an aggregated vote of, if you were to score this yourself and take this matrix and look at your own organizations, you can use that weighting as a benchmark of this consortium who's attended. So you look at these various attributes of maturity from very low to very high. I'm not going to go through every one of these, but you can see as an example people. People are measured individually. At level 5, strong sense of team across organization and partners. It's not just an internal organization, it's a hybrid of internal and external partners. Various degrees of people maturity in between. Technology development. Maintenance of technology is somebody comes in and installs the solution, and it just sits there. You use it until it breaks, and it fades over time. To a level of managing technology where you go from ad hoc to organized or structured value analysis of implementing new technologies, to the ability of an organization to create and address leading edge technologies in a competitive fashion. All this comes from the workshop. So these criteria can be used to evaluate where you are on the maturity curve. Now, there is no, being a number 5 on every category does not mean that you're the best effective organization. And likewise, it depends on the affordability, the culture, the structure of your company, and you need to decide where you are today and where you would like to be tomorrow relative to this maturity matrix. Not everybody wants to be to the far right. Somewhere in the middle may be good enough, depending on the business model of the company. But the organizational design of a hybrid IT/OT organization must address these particular criteria. Now, we're going to get into, how are we doing on time? Because okay. I want to leave time for further discussion. So I'm going to go through this, but I wanted to walk you through an analysis, a typical analysis of how you would attack the problem based on the capabilities, the attributes that were defined as part of the workshop. Fundamentally, you do a functional analysis based on where you are today and what parts or attributes or capabilities you need. So you go through a mapping exercise based on the common metrics that you agree with from an IT/OT cross-functionally viewed, address the capabilities that we mentioned in the benchmarking exercise, and then allocate those activities both functionally as well as geographically. And you fundamentally parse up the needs of the organization. And you can evaluate the importance of each one of those activity needs against the maturity model, where you are today, where you would like to be tomorrow. So you do this mapping exercise, and then comes the hard part, negotiating responsibilities and accountabilities. With the cross-functional organizations that are involved, including IT/OT representatives, both in technology support and sustain, as well as technology creation, possibly third-party organizations that you may be involved, functional management, as well as project management, and you go through the 4 key areas of effective organizational design: managing productivity, lead people, support technology, and deliver solutions. Against the performance criteria, you do accountability alignment to determine where is the best combination of organizational responsibility to achieve the primary objective of organizational design. Now, I will mention down here, in the most effective organizations, you find a high degree of shared responsibility, but singular accountability. So you should see a lot of R's, but only one A in each category. You can't just assign this randomly. This is a negotiated arrangement between the IT and OT organizations to achieve this against those primary business objectives. So as an example, in this example, this particular company, they find it's pretty obvious that at the support level, John was asking the question, he just left. What do you mean by geography? In this particular company, responsiveness to outages or abnormal events of the IT/OT solution is a primary metric. So they're looking for where can we harmonize on IT/OT support. In their current situation, the support of the control systems is done by one organization, and the other side, the support of IT solutions or MOM solutions, is another side of the organization. And they don't talk to each other, except at the end user level, we expect them to perform in harmony, integrated together. So meeting the customer expectation would mean an organizational design, possibly a team-based design like Carrie described, involves a high degree of shared responsibility, but you will see singular accountability, only one A in each horizontal row. Again, negotiated between the IT, OT, and business organizations. So that's an example of shared accountability. One of the popular terms back in the mid-90s, I'll shake some people's memories, was high-performance teams. This is a resurrection of the high-performance team concept, where you create a team of experts with the right skills to achieve the objective of supporting manufacturing IT solutions for a manufacturing facility. And look at an organizational design that involves that. It could be, in this case, there could be a third party involved, and there could be a lot of R's in the third party column there. It all depends on your situation. Another example is a lot of shared responsibility across all functions. And a good example that Carrie was using was business process teams. This would represent a business process team example of shared responsibility. But you should see, I see there's one example there where there's not, but there should be one A in each one of those horizontal rows. And the key here is it's negotiated. You negotiate a RACI diagram is what you do. And so that can then create a structure that meets those unique skills, combined skills as high-performance teams into an organization that is highly effective. And yes, the end result of going through this exercise will take you further to the right of the maturity diagram and ultimately move you from either a purely functional or a purely business or a purely project structure, wherever you are in your history today, and cause you to look at hybridizing the organization in some form of matrix, 1, 2, 3-dimensional or more, to come up with that service level that the client is looking for, in this case, the manufacturing facility. Did I lose everybody? I hope not. So I'm going to jump to the end so we can get to Q&A and talk more about this. But one of the things we found through surveys with the various people who attended in the last workshop is, come on, it needs to be a collaborative process. One organization or one side of the organization or the other cannot be the dictator of the solution space. It needs to be a collaboration, otherwise somebody is going to be a loser. It needs to be a win-win solution. High-performance teams, resurrected again, with multidisciplinary members, tend to perform better than just purely vertically oriented functional designs. You must address the changing roles and responsibilities, shared responsibility, singular accountability. That RACI diagram can change over time. In the case of the Dow Chemical Company, buying another company, who are they buying, guys? They're buying, merging Dow and DuPont, two of the biggest chemical companies in the world. Guess what? They're going to have to redo their RACI diagram. Okay, it's just a matter of fact that's going to have to, I'm telling you, Carrie, you're going to have to do it. Best laid plans. But technology changes, people change, and you need to address this on a recurring basis. You must achieve multidisciplinary alignment and multiple stakeholder consensus. But most importantly, the structural design must fit your own situation. There is not one exact RACI, there's not one correct organizational design. But consideration of a matrix organization will take you further down the effectiveness road from an organizational design perspective. So I'm going to stop it there so we got time to talk. I'll back it up. Actually, a solicitation here. There is going to be a survey conducted electronically by ARC in 2006, shortly after this event here. And we will be soliciting information from you collectively about the importance of the various attributes, the key attributes of organizational design that were collected as part of the previous workshop. So this survey will provide an ARC benchmark of what the collective looks at is important to be considered as part of your own maturity analysis and journey down the IT/OT organizational restructuring, you might say. So you can help yourself by helping us create this benchmark. And I'll leave it at that.